Shabbat Shalom. Good morning, Temple Beth-El. I hope this message finds you all in good health. This week's Torah portion is Parshat Ve'et-Chanan. And in Ve'et-Chanan, we have Moses with the Israelites at the border of the Promised Land. And Moses realizes, because God very firmly tells him, you are not going into the Promised Land. At this point, and I know we've talked about this before, Moses hears the information and finally takes it in and starts begging God, pleading with God, why can't I go in? Please let me go in. Please let me go in. And I was thinking about this moment where Moses really shows a lot of emotion, and where we as readers, as followers, get to see a patriarch of ours really disappointed, really angry and sad and mad. My words, maybe not the Torah's. But I was thinking about what happens when you've worked, probably in his case, almost your entire life to achieve something. And then not only can you not achieve it, but it's actually right in front of you, in your face, and you have to let it go. I was thinking about what I read the other day that said, sometimes you can be the absolute right package and delivered to the wrong house. And for someone who orders Amazon all the time, I understand this saying. How can we in our own lives think about what Moses went through? Moses doesn't ever go into the Promised Land. Moses stands there, he watches us go in, and he sees, at least how we read it in Midrash, this dream of his slip through his fingers. I want you to consider something, and it might be difficult at whatever age you're watching this video at or stage in life, but what if there's a certain time in our life, let's say in our older years, where we don't want to necessarily live forever, where we've seen our kids grow up and our grandkids, where we've seen many achievements in our life, many things personal, professional, in the world, political, maybe even in our lives, we've seen dreams come and be achieved. But at the end of our life or later in our life, we realize, if I was along and around and alive for the rest of time, I would miss so many people, so many experiences that would pass on around me. In other words, I wonder if Moses stood up on that mountain as he watched the Israelites walk in and said, you know what? I've seen my friends go. I've seen the parents of these Israelites go. Now, as they walk into the Promised Land, it might be my time to let go. We can look at it figuratively and say that he is allowing for the passage of new leadership, of new experiences, or we could look at it literally and say maybe he's realized that it's the end of his life, not only the end of trying to achieve this goal. So how do we look at Shabbat with this Torah portion in front of us? How do we look at all of these things we've tried to achieve in our life, and maybe we're still on the way there, we're still on the route, and maybe we achieved them, but for some, maybe we will never get through to what we've tried to achieve our whole life. How can we sit in a place, maybe as if what I'm suggesting Moses did, and say, okay, it wasn't mine to achieve. It was mine to get us here. It was mine to brainstorm. It was mine to allow the next generation to take on. How do we do that? Sit back and say, Lech lecha, go forth. Because as the Israelites are about to go into the Promised Land, and we have a recitation again of the 10 Commandments in the Shema, Moses parts from the Israelites with words of legacy and of love. And he allows us to step forward into the Promised Land, our own people. I pray this Shabbat all of us can find lessons from our achievements and from those things which we have yet to achieve or may not ever achieve. And I hope that we can still spend this Shabbat with the words so prophetically on our tongues. We are one people, Shema Yisrael. Shabbat Shalom.